Well now, what do you know? Oh wow. Wow. Molly and Alex from Star Wars Explained are gonna be absolutely loving this. I can't wait to see their videos later on today because I just watched the Book of Mando chapter 6 and it dropped another massive wow moment for the Star Wars fandom. Oh my god, I was the second I saw that silhouette, the biggest smile and sense of emotion just went over me. That was so hype. That was probably better than seeing the slave one come in. That was probably better than when Krrsantan came round that corner. It doesn't match the Luke hype of seeing his X-Wing at the end of Mando Season 2, but this was one of the biggest wow moments in an episode where once again Boba Fett barely appeared. At least he appeared this week. I'm still confused about this because, it's called Book of Boba Fett. So in a sense, I feel lied to because we're barely getting Boba Fett. But I'm just so happy. Look at this smile. I'm so happy with what we got. Once again, I think, though, this is confirming that these stories, The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, they're connected. They're clearly one story, one narrative, building towards one thing. The show's called Book of Boba Fett, but Boba Fett, The Mandalorian, Cobb Vanth, Grogu, they all have a part in this story and an equal part that needs to be told to get the conclusion. We're getting into a war, and I'm pretty convinced that what we're going to build up to the climax of this series is going to lead into Mandalorian Season 3. I think that's very, very heavily implied now. I don't think the Book of Boba Fett is the last we're going to see of Boba Fett and these other characters, because this is bringing them all together and setting them on a path, on a narrative. New. Each of these characters now have new stories, and it's shaping up into something absolutely wonderful, I think. So let's break down this episode. As I said, there wasn't much Boba Fett. We did see him, but again, it was just building up to this endgame. It does make the series feel a bit unbalanced, but I guess from an overall story perspective, if you take really what I think is you have to look at this as Mandalorian season 2.5, and instead of going, oh, isn't it weird that we got, a couple of episodes dedicated to the Mandalorian in the Book of Boba Fett? Really, I think what you should be saying is, oh, isn't it weird that we had a few episodes dedicated to Boba Fett in the Mandalorian story? So that's how I'm viewing it now. This is Boba Fett's backstory for something that's going into Greater, and his thing Greater at the moment is getting his criminal empire, getting Tatooine, which is obviously going to be a big importance going into the Mandalorian, the fact that Boba Fett is going to be in charge, the fact that the Mandalorian's helping him, the fact that Grogu's coming up with a choice. And in this episode, all we kind of see Boba Fett do is building his army, and just kind of getting things in motion for the climax, for the big takeover moment. So let's go back to the beginning. The beginning was Mandalorian. It literally did it. He went and he saw the little guy. He just saw him on a hill, but we as the audience got to see Grogu in full, and I was not expecting this. I thought we were going to have to wait years to see Grogu again. I thought they were going to tease us with it throughout all of season 3, and then at the end we'd see him, but no, he's still a very much big part of the story. It's still very much Grogu's story. When we got to see him training with Luke, I did not expect to see Grogu training with Luke in the Book of Boba Fett, but we got it, and it was wonderful. It was great seeing Luke again. Once again, the technology involved, it's just amazing, isn't it? the deep faking technology, to see it being used in a positive way, not some horrible seedy way, is fantastic. I did find the voice, was really good, obviously, but I did find it a little bit jarring to the image. I don't know why it was. It felt dubbed, if you know what I mean. It definitely felt like it was added on afterwards. They just, I don't know, maybe it was off by a microsecond. I'm not really sure. It just didn't quite seem to fit. Maybe it was that uncanny valley kicking in. But regardless, it's so good to see Luke again. At times I was like, his training seems a little bit harsh, but you can definitely tell that he's picked up his training methods from Yoda. There was a playfulness in it. It wasn't, it wasn't as serious as what we saw some of the other Jedi. It was definitely a little bit more fun, sometimes a little bit more harsh. Very Yoda-esque in his training. He even did the Yoda forward flip that we saw him doing on Dagobah. That was really great. Lots of little callbacks to his time on Dagobah. And I really like Luke's, he's being that Jedi Knight, he's being that guy we saw in Return of the Jedi, where he went into the briefing room. You just saw this calm, you just saw this matured Luke. We had that, but we saw that playfulness Luke. He's walking along and he's using the Force to pick up Grogu, to make Grogu jump. At first I thought it was Grogu jumping. I had to rewind that scene because I was so distracted by how cute that little scene was. It was just nice that Luke was just using his hand to just pick up Grogu. And then obviously Grogu, he masters the Yoda, the frog ways. And we see Grogu now. He's a little bit more mobile. He's doing backflips and stuff. The puppetry and everything, once again, on Grogu was absolutely amazing. Gift City, again, of him balancing. That's going to be everybody's like Zen and Yoda yoga gifts going forward. Just doing some yoga. Here's a gif of Grogu balancing on a log. And we get some clues about his backstory. Luke has started to unlock his memories. Grogu is remembering. I'm sure that's going to have implications going forward on Grogu's story. I'm sure that we're going to keep getting these flashbacks maybe in season 3 as he remembers more and more. We don't know who rescued him yet, but we can see that there were some Jedi protecting him. He was clearly in someone's hand. We saw clone troopers. I couldn't tell if they were CGI or practical. Let me know what you think. Were they practical clone troopers? People in clone trooper costumes? Or were they CGI? I'm not really sure, to be honest. I'd like to think that maybe they were practical clone troopers, because that is something that I really wanted to see. I understand why George made them CGI, to get that consistency. Practical clone troopers is always the way to go. And speaking of practical, I can't wait to talk about that, seeing something live action practical later on in this episode. The wow moment. Like, you'd think the Grogu stuff would be the highlight, but no, the Grogu stuff is the bottom of the iceberg compared to what we got later on in this episode. But yeah, the stuff with Grogu and Luke were great. Ahsoka was there as well. That was a really nice surprise. I liked how she's still very elusive character, very much not a Jedi, still follows the Jedi ways, but she's very much letting Luke take over that, she's just a mentor. She has her own thing going on. It's great to see them on screen together, side by side, talking about Vader. Well, not Vader really, talking about Anakin, I should say, sorry. Talking about Anakin, you're so much like your father. Clearly she's a mentor to him, but definitely you get the sense that she has stepped back from that. There's too much trauma there for her. Luke as well, struggling. Obviously we know, unfortunately, what happens in the to Luke in the sequels, sadly. Wish I could rewrite that. But at the moment, he's trying his hardest, and I like what he's doing, and I like that at the end he gave Grogu a choice. Because I think Luke knows, and I guess Luke is also kind of struggling a little bit as well as to really how to be the teacher, what kind of rules should he he follow. So I like the fact that he's just sat down with Grogu and given Grogu a choice. Do you want to go back to the Mandalorian with confirmation that you got a little chainmail vest? It seems like a lot. Seems like there was a lot of spear wasted to, he had that whole spear, and it made just a tiny little chainmail. Where was all the leftover? Surely you could have made a little helmet, but got some chainmail. And then he was like, I also have Yoda's lightsaber. Which one do you want? Now you got to make me choose. So what? I can't get Grogu with a lightsaber and Grogu wearing Mandalorian armor at the same time. I still think that Grogu's path is he's gonna become the next Vizsla, the next Jedi Mandalorian, the one who uses both, the one that takes on both teachings. I think that is going to be Grogu's future, so I think eventually we will get that. Uniting the two enemies once again, finding a balance in a way there. But yeah, and they ended it on the cliffhanger of what is his choice. Is he going to turn up at the end of the war? Is he going to have a vision at some point? Now that his memories are awakened and stuff, and he's starting to remember, is that going to induce a false vision? He's going to see, maybe he's going to go the Jedi way, then he's going to see Din in trouble, that classic Jedi thing of having bad dreams and changing the path. I'm sure Luke will always understand and try and help. Maybe Grogu's decision affects Luke in a way that kind of changes his teaching methods, and maybe something that happens with Grogu is what leads him to make his decision with Ben. There's so much to talk about. I haven't even got into the rest of the stuff, just talking about Grogu stuff. Man, I love Jon Favreau, man, and Dave Filoni, I tip my cowboy hat to you. You two are amazing. I know you're never going to watch this video, but just putting it out there on the internet. Thank you, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni for making this. It's reinvigorated my Star Wars love after some dark times. Thank you so much, man. I'm so happy. So yeah, we talked about the Luke stuff. We talked about the Grogu stuff. Great to see all of that stuff. Oh, and also shout out to the ant droids. They were really cool concept. And poor old age R2, went into power save mode there at the end for a little bit. But while also still being classic R2 whistling. But yeah, those ant droids, that was a smart idea. Who came up with that? That's smart. Cool. Now let's talk about Cobb Vanth. So yeah, reason number one why I think Star Wars Explained is going to be happy Grogu. Reason number two, Cobb Vanth has reappeared. He got a great opening bit where he took down 3 of the Pikes in one, and then it was like, you seem like the smart one. Then he had that badass moment where he had the spice. It's worth more than your town, and he kicked it back into the sand. He tuned it. He didn't take the spice out of the sand. He put the spice in the sand. That was a really badass moment. He doesn't care. I love how the crate dragon bones have wound up everywhere. They're in the bar. They're on the Jawa sandcrawler. A badass Jawa sandcrawler that is now. They were like waving at him. That was really great. How'd they get that up there? But yeah, great to see Cobb Vanth again. It was interesting, that dynamic between them. For a little bit, I was like, come on, Cobb, don't be a jerk. Help him out. In the end, he was like, he's smart enough to know he wanted to show power in that situation, I think, really. He is the marshal. Probably feels a bit vulnerable without his armor. He said he's got to be a bit more careful. So yeah, probably just kind of doing the power in that situation. And then he's outside and he sees a lone silhouette on the horizon with a hat down like that. And the smile. The second I saw it, I knew. Iconic. There are iconic helmets in Star Wars, but there's only one iconic cowboy hat. and that belongs to Cad Bane. And we saw him then as he was walking up, you could see a hint of blue on the chin, and I was just like, it's definitely him. He's standing there, you hear his voice, Cad Vanth. It's like, I can't believe they're doing it. You knew it was him, but he doesn't even say his name, but he tilts the hat up and you see the big red eyes. He looks so good in CGI. The face, seeing his fangs, seeing his anger in it, really captured the Clone Wars vibes of the character. It looked fantastic in live action. I'm so glad they kept the voice, and you could tell the threatening presence of him. He was badass. You knew that the deputy was going to ruin it. Cobb took one in the shoulder. I'm sure he's going to be okay. The weekly was watching on. Interesting how that's going to go. Definitely, I think they're going to rise up and join in on the fight as well. I'm sure Cobb is going to be okay. Hey, maybe he'll turn up with like a robot arm or something. But we're going to get like Black Krrsantan, Boba Fett, and Din versus Cad Bane. That's going to be epic. Doesn't look like we're going to get any Bosk, sadly, but you don't need Bosk when you've got Cad Bane turn up. Definitely going to be interactions between Boba Fett and Cad Bane in the next episode. I reckon we're probably going to get that animated, there was that episode of the Clone Wars that wasn't fully animated. I think we're going to get references to that. Maybe even a brief flashback to that in live action. And I think we're going to get something very, very similar. I don't want Cad Bane to die because he looks so good and he's such a good character. So fingers crossed for that. But if it serves the story purpose, and they showed the flashback where, because it was ambiguous whether or not Boba Fett killed Cad Bane. It's Cobb Vanth, Cad Bane. Cad Bane in that episode, I believe, in the animatic. So, but then obviously he turned up in the Bad Batch with the metal plate in his head. So we know that fight has happened. Are we now going to get it with a definitive answer? I don't want him to die. But the fact that they've made him means that there's potential for him to turn up in all sorts of places, including the Obi-Wan series, including the Andor series if they want. He's alive in that period. Is another epic bad guy going to meet their demise on the sands of Tatooine? But interesting, it was mainly like the Book of Boba Fett stuff, and this was a Cobb Vanth episode. And I think the fact that it ended on Grogu with that choice obviously means that it's important to the end of this series. If there's only one episode left, there is so much to get into that episode. So much. It's going to have to be like 2 hours long. I'd like a secret 8th episode. And then at the end, Gas of Whips. Place blew up. The Pikes started the war. And pretty much kind of were just like, yeah, we're taking over and we're changing things up. They said that as long as you... Well, Cad Bane said as long as the spice keeps flowing, you won't come to harm. And then straight away we see that, no, people are going to come to harm. The Sanctuary, a place of like luxury and comfort on Tatooine, got destroyed. That's like a symbol in itself. Where's the next place of comfort and luxury going to be? It's going to be Boba Fett's palace. Is she dead? I think maybe she's okay. Most importantly, is Max Rebo okay? Second explosion in his life. Did he get out of there? Are we going to get confirmation as to whether or not he has legs? That's the thing that has bugged me the most in this entire Book of Boba Fett series. Forget about story elements and pacing. Does Max Rebo have legs, or the correct canon of just the 2 arms? Well, I guess technically they are legs, right? Wow. What an episode. What an episode. Once again, though, was it a good episode of the Book of Boba Fett? For Boba Fett, no. For Star Wars, yes. For the overall story of The Mandalorian, yes. For Cad Bane fans, absolutely. For Grogu gift makers, yes. Top tier content. I'm smiling. I'm really liking it. Can it be next Wednesday? already. And yeah, shout out to Luke as well. Talking about Yoda, and seeing his lightsaber again, and just thank you, Jon Favreau, and thank you, Dave Filoni. All right, okay, bye. Let me know all your thoughts down in those comments below. Hashtag pray for Max. Bye.